maybe you could have never afforded the $500,000 condo in Grace Bay,
Absolutely.
but you can have 70, 60,000 into that over 10 years, and you do have that money working for you and still putting your foothold in the gain of that community.
Welcome to Pushing Your Peers Podcast, the #1 podcast in the region for living a progressive and happier life. On this episode, we are joined by Ari Comert, who introduces the Utopia Platform and how it's creating new opportunities for Turks and Caicos Islanders to invest in fractional real estate ownership. We explore how collective investment can empower locals to build wealth, strengthen economic participation, and take greater ownership in the future of our islands. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share so you never miss an episode. Sit back, relax, and let's get ready to push some peers. Ari, you are pursuing. I've been seeing your company pop up a lot. We're gonna dive into it. But tell me a bit about your real estate background and development, because these are the things that I'm now seeing your face in front of. So tell me a bit about your interest and how you got into that, or what drew you there specifically.
So it's funny because it's not real estate that's my main background. Funny enough, that's kind of how I'm kind of into now, but it's not. It's my background is mostly in technology, and in my legal practice outside of the islands, I'm currently also general counsel to a Canadian AI and blockchain company. And so my primary focus is basically working with starting startups and emerging technology companies. And I kind of blended that in this instance to what I saw a domestic problem that needed solving in some of the highest real estate, cost bases in the planet. And I felt my background in law, technology, and my newfound, knowledge in real estate transactions and how the challenges exist in real estate acquisition or any high value asset acquisition, the ownership struggles in the TCI. I kind of came up with this concept almost 8 years ago now, and it's kind of brought us to where we are today with its launch last week.
So I'm seeing Utopia. First of all, what is Utopia? And secondly, why the name Utopia?
Okay, two great questions. Nobody's asked me why I named it that, but I'll get into it. First of all, this challenge started. I don't know if people remember. Maybe this isn't common knowledge, but about 6 or 7 years ago, there was a prince's house was going up for auction. At that point, pretty reasonably priced compared to today. And I, I lived here. I thought about it. I'm like, man, it'd be nice to own something like that. And it's a pipe dream. It's like, oh, I just work on a salary. There's no way I can do that. And I just thought to myself, well, what if we did it what if we got a whole bunch of people together to do it? And pro rata or individually, we would own the piece or the profit as you would from the portion we put into it. And I really started this fractionalization / back in the day called tokenization of this asset class. And that's where this idea started. And Utopia, it's a utopian idea, owning a piece of this, owning a piece of that, owning a piece of paradise on my own terms, creating my own utopia. And that's kind of where the name of the platform, which is a tech product, started, based off the concept of co-ownership and essentially public fundraising. And fast forward a little bit, what started back then in 2018, the hardest part was not the technology, actually. The hardest part was navigating the regulatory approval and community buy-in. Community being people who are selling the asset or own the asset, who want to participate with you, who want to give you the opportunity to allow you the time to raise funds to buy it. The government or the regulators who take your information, your ideas, and we work with them to kind of make this legally compliant. which is really important in public, when you're raising public money. And then the public community who actually ends up supporting the initiative, because if they don't support it, items like this will never, might not come up again. So it's a really multifaceted endeavor. And as the years went on, I just understood how challenging it was. So what you're seeing now, the finished product, maybe today, I don't know if you've seen it or others have seen it, but that's from about half a decade of pretty thankless work at the back end to get it
Right.
to where people, constantly said, that's crazy. They're never going to prove it. It's not going to happen. And all these things to where you just push through it and you got it. Because if you don't do it and if you don't build yourself, push comes to shove, it's never going to happen. So I just thought,
Mm.
I'm sorry to keep going on, but I feel like my frustration with system status quo opportunity. And I just wasn't going to take no for an answer. And I just
Mm.
really kind of just put my money and my time where my mouth was to kind of see this to where it got to today. And hopefully the community embraces it and we all start taking ownership back together, one asset at a time.
Now you mentioned government, right? When you was presenting or pitching this, what was the main pitch that really got them to buy into something like this, especially with the population that we have not really being, familiarized with something like this? Like, what was that main selling pitch you gave to them?
Yeah. So we met with government pretty early on in the process where we just had there was no real knowledge, including for us, on how to actually make this some sort of a legally approved project. And I'm going to be honest with you, the last thing from my experience that people in government are sitting and doing is thinking about your project and how to make your thing come alive. So I we had a meeting at this time now, I think it was 3 years ago, at the premier's office with the deputy premier, and we sat and we presented the project to him and his team, and they basically looked at us out. They're like, this sounds fantastic. Go do it.
Mm.
And when you do it, back to us, and we'll see what you've put together, and then we could see if we can, what we can do with this. Really, it was not so much the government, but more the regulator, the FSC, that was our day-to-day point of contact. To here's our documents. They're like, no, go back. We need this change. Present it again. Think about this until it got to a stage where you know, it looks like this is going to get approved now. And shockingly, it did at the end of the day. But yeah, it's mind frame change, right? It's climate. It's they recognize entrepreneurs are trying to do something where maybe nobody else is looking at this area, and if it doesn't happen now, and we keep rejecting these types of projects, what are we going to ever have something that can allow somebody to participate in these types of endeavors? So, that's what I'm thinking was what happened.
So let's look at Utopia now, right? You have this platform, and this platform is talking about shared investment. How does this work? And what is the minimum investment needed for me to see your return? I'm hitting you with a lot of questions right now. And how long should we wait as investors to start seeing some returns on the investment?
So how I would approach this is like this. Um, if you saw a unit in Grace Bay and you wanted to purchase that on your own, you got the money, you had the financing, how would you usually set that up? You either buy it in your personal name or you might set it up a company and you'll take the property like that. And if you buy it through a company or you buy it in your own name, there's only one owner. So you have to come up with the purchase price, the stamp duty, the corporation fees, the lawyer's fees, the maintenance fees, the strata fees, the dues, utilities, all of that up on your own in your own pocket. So that's the cost base. And then the benefits of ownership, whether it's rental income generated by the asset or some sort of capital appreciation years down the road, is what would be the benefits of owning some sort of real estate. So what we did was, and we thought is, well, I can't buy that on, but I still want to benefit somehow. So why don't we do this? Why don't we set up a company, create 10,000 shares instead of one, and sell it publicly to see if we can get others in the community to help us raise the money to collectively to buy that asset. And even if I own one share out of the 10,000, the capital I put in is only that one of 10,000, and the benefit of ownership would be the same pro rata percentage dividend. So the concept of what will I get out of it is trickle down by percentage of what you put in. So the benefit is the same. Now, the difference is that in our model, how do you communicate with 500 unique owners? How do you get them to agree on things? How do you collect the money from them? What happens if there's a shortfall in cash? How do you handle that process? And that's imagine trying to do 5 friends in the disagreements you have. So what we did was the structure that we created, I think, is just as important as the technology, because the structure and the software that facilitates it allows for that management process. So shareholder communication, shareholder information is all disseminated through the platform. And more importantly, share acquisition. So you go into the platform. If you're going to buy this asset yourself, all the documents are there for you to look: the title, the share purchase agreement, the documents with the developer. It's all there for you to look at. And what you put in tells you what percentage you own. And then that's the percentage you could expect on any dividend. So if the asset is money, you get a dividend. Or if we sell the asset, you get that same pro rata. So when do you expect it? It's like, well, one, we expect to hold the asset for a while to realize. And then once income starts coming in, once the project is live and income starts coming in, we will do quarterly reviews to see if there's a dividend to be paid to the shareholder.
Okay, absolutely amazing. So, is there I mean, I know you talk about what you put in is what you get out, but does the document highlight, I guess, let's say I come with $5,000. Does it tell me exactly, or does the platform tell me exactly what will be, or is that dependent on market and all these other things? How does this work?
Yeah. So if you come with $5,000, so say that let's just say argument say it's 100 shares into the project. Actually, 7,000 gets you 1% of the total ownership. So let's use 7,000. So 1,000, 1% of the company that owns the asset, in this particular case, a unit, will be yours. You own 1% of that. And what comes with that is the right you would have is one shareholder, multiple shareholders. The board of directors, in this case, which I'm a part of, will look at the revenue that comes in. So the asset is managed by the Professional Hotel Corporation, and they'll tell us the performance of the asset, and they'll send us, hey, for this period of time, the asset has earned this much amount of money. This is how much expenses have come out. Here is your amount of that money after they take their cut. We get the money as the owners of the unit, and we look, okay, what was our utility bill? What was do we have any other ancillary expenses we need to cover the cost of the company itself, right? Which is, could be yearly dues or whatever. And we take that and we look at it and say, hey, look, we've got about $30,000-$40,000 here. We're going to cut a dividend to all the shareholders, and that dividend will go pro rata equally across everybody who owns shares. We do that through, bank accounts now, or we'll cut checks for that. But the anticipation is every quarter, the board of directors will review what the position of the companies in terms of revenue, and then distributions will be made on that basis. Equally, so say some time has passed, say a year or two has gone by, and some people think, hey, maybe we should look at selling that unit. So we get a valuation and see what it's worth. And the shareholders can actually push a resolution or a vote to see if everybody wants to sell. So every share has a vote. So just because you're a big group doesn't mean you don't have a say. And resolutions will be put to shareholders for voting. And if a majority, or in this case, 67% agree to sell it, we'll go through the motions of trying to list the unit to try to recover a gain, hopefully, out of the asset.
Well,
With the money
I'm
will.
learning. I'm learning a lot, Ari, and I'm thinking this is a great. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I think, and this is a great opportunity for persons looking for long-term investment.
Yeah, it's so like traditionally with real estate, you're buying it with a long-term horizon. And that's no different in this investment. We are trying to make people owners of real estate, specifically the type of real estate that is really what drives the TCI economy, Grace Bay Beach, branded. And it's giving people an opportunity to put their foot in the door, however small that is. But you can say,
Absolutely.
you drive by, hey, I own a unit there because you do, right? And I do, and we all do. And um,
That's amazing, man.
it's not trying to jump to riches overnight, but if you
Hmm.
have sustained investment strategy over a period of time, maybe you could have never afforded the $500,000 condo in Grace Bay,
Absolutely.
but you can have 70, 60,000 into that over 10 years. And you do have that money working for you and still putting
Mm.
your foothold in the gain of that unit, as little or as big as that can be, right? And that's kind of what the theory is. And it's not, our first project is real estate. We are not living and dying only by real estate. There's other domestic investments that we are talking to, possibly government infrastructure projects that people can own into and fund part of, other businesses that aren't real estate driven. Um, you know, maybe utilities company, so we are talking with, because we have this system approved and the platform to roll it out, the sky's the limit of what kind of offerings we can bring to the market. So even if this condo is not for you, you're not looking for the long term, or you don't like the return it gives, there might be other offerings in the future, that you
Absolutely.
might be more interested in, right? um, so we just started, so we'll see where we can go in the next couple of years.
All right, I love this, and it's giving even the average man something to put his money towards. With inflation, if you have a savings account, this would be something to consider. I mean, why put your money in savings when you can make this investment and have something much more than that when you retire? So, as a local, this is a great opportunity, as you mentioned as well. Sometimes we see 1.7 million. Man, we can never make it to Grace Bay. We can never. Now you're saying that this platform, Utopia, is giving you some access to ownership at a minimum level, and of course, there will be even more opportunities in the future to diversify your portfolio. So if you're somebody who's looking to build generational wealth or some sort of wealth, this is a good opportunity to consider for that. And again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I'm getting from all of this.
Yeah, that's the point of it. It's the point is that, you know for the most part, most are locked out of participating in the ownership economy. It's not just investing. Some people just might say, okay, I'm not really interested in the monthly or quarterly return. I'm more interested in owning pieces of projects. And then 10 years later, what does that look like for me? And all you can, hindsight is 2020. If you had put your foot in the door even just 5 years ago, where would that have led you today in real estate investment in the TCI? Pretty in a pretty good position.
Mhm.
So, another feature of this, maybe as opposed to individual ownership, is these we are buying these assets cash, meaning there's no debt on it, there's no mortgage to service, There's no interest rate to be putting in. So the points of failure. So even if you're the type of person who could buy this type of property on their own with some sort of debt financing, do you want to put a quarter million cash and take a $700,000 loan at 8.5%? Or do you want to put that same quarter million in, have no debt, but still try to realize on that same type of return? So even people who do have the means to invest in real estate and the TCI can do it in a smarter way. Conversely, as we roll out, we'll be looking for people who actually have their own projects that want to raise money, can put those projects in the platform to go to the public to raise capital on a debt-free basis to either sponsor their own projects, their own visions and businesses, and we can work with them to try to see what we can accomplish. Um, at the end of the day, bringing regulated and approved offerings in a safe and compliant way to the public.
So Utopia not only is giving you investment opportunity, it's also serving as a crowdfunding platform as well.
Right.
Well,
That's the goal. Yeah, we want to get there, including possibly getting some sort of mortgage funds together to give people alternative, sensible rate um, lending and borrowing opportunities, right? Because the mission of the platform isn't, I hate to say this, it isn't ultimate greed. It's we can create an economy and an environment of mutual beneficial ownership where everybody gets their piece of the pie in a sensible way. So we're all feeling included and feel like we have opportunities. So when I say to you, we're trying to build a utopian system, that's where the name really comes from. We're trying our private citizen way of trying to take the burden off government, take the burden off private companies to try to bring some sort of system into place that's not really been done before anywhere, really. So, while this is a TCI born and bred project, it actually has regional significance and is gaining regional interest, not just in TCI, because this is a regional problem. And I think so dare I say it, could we even have opportunities open up outside in Jamaica, where we base the companies from here and go outward? That's a possibility, right? I don't want to get too complicated here, but there's a lot of benefit in TCI, doing things out of TCI that maybe hasn't been explored before. So we're kind of experimenting with that, with those concepts, and trying to create this fintech hub here for the projects like this that we think are have, not just feel good value, but actual, financial benefit to the people who kind of look into this type of system.
well, Ari, we are looking forward to this platform, and it sounds like a great opportunity for everybody to have, and of course, as the old quote goes, a seat at the table. So I'm looking forward to seeing the growth and development of this. I'm looking for ownership in other Caribbean countries. I'm looking to be also a part of this platform. So of course, Ari, all the best. Again, ladies and gentlemen, when you're considering this, this isn't something where instant gratification is the thing. Okay, this is something that you must look long term when you're going into it. Ari, I'm gonna give you a chance to wrap up, but you wouldn't be a guest on my show if you didn't push some peace. All right. So I know you've been developing this platform for quite some time. So any word or words that begins with the letter P that has helped you along this journey, you now have a chance to push your piece. Any words
Yeah,
or word?
I'm gonna say purpose for a second here, because I feel like everybody in their day-to-day life is just going through the motions, whether I'm an attorney and other people are working in other areas, real estate, accounting, civil service, government. What is your day-to-day purpose? And in Turks and Caicos, people don't really realize the unique opportunity you have here to make a big difference in not only your own life, but in the community you're involved in. A lot of people in bigger countries don't have that unique opportunity. So I've always been looking for that purpose in my day to day. Is what can I do as a member of this community adopting my knowledge and what what I've learned over the years to try to drive the future and drive some sort of purpose into my day to day. And I felt like, one of the challenges I hear repeatedly, you know, including in my, my own struggles, is ownership, being involved in this community, the growth of it, and how we can all try to put some division aside and for once have a seat at the same table. And I feel like economic inclusion is one of those things that can bring everybody together. So my purpose was to try to get something together where I can push people to um, think on the same wavelength and feel like, hey, I can be part of this community in a different type of way, right? And I can own where you own. We can, um, we can work together to have a common goal, to kind of grow the community together and the island. That's kind of like what I really started with this project. Right? So hopefully that kind of
Nah, that was perfect, man. I'm excited for it. And how can persons find out more about Utopia? And how can they
um,
also reach you?
yeah. So you can reach me. So to access the platform, it's utopiaplatform.com, and you can go there to register and create an investor account to start. You don't have to invest. You can start just looking around and see what we've created and to look through our documents. Anybody's free to do so. So it's utopiaplatform.com. You can reach me at Ari at utopia.tc. That's my email if you want to send me an email. But those are the two methods in which you can contact me or get a hold of me.
Now, Ari, I'm a Turks Islander. I am on the fence after listening to this podcast, but I'm still a bit afraid to, put my money into this as this is a startup. What would you tell a Turks Islander like myself?
So
Hypothetically speaking, of course.
yeah, so like any investment in this world, there's a risk. In this one, and I think we've calculated that risk in an efficient way, where even if the bottom of the economy fell out, and even if the real estate market imploded, and even if the value of the property went down by 50%, you still have an underlying real estate asset there, and we can always find recoverable, like by selling it to get something out of nothing, right? So if the asset imploded, would mean that there's a worse story generally for the entire island, not in the same boat. In terms of us as a company and the issuer that's giving you the shares, um, the Financial Services Commission has vetted our document, meaning that they've reviewed it, have approved it, and we have reporting obligations to them. We have reporting obligations to them on what money we received, any complaints that we receive. We have to run a full KYC of our clients that come in. So this is monitored at some sort of higher level. Um, and I wanna kind of drop a statistic here that is shocking to maybe myself more than anybody. Maybe it would even shock you. We have a WhatsApp group right now. I think there's about 110 people in it. It's a closed WhatsApp group that we've been slowly growing through word of mouth. It's a closed group. Um, when we launched about 2 weeks ago, 12% of the offering has already been taken up.
Hmm.
100% of the people who've invested are Turks and Caicos Islanders.
Wow.
So I was not expecting that, and the expatriate community has who's shown interest have not invested, have not jumped the gun yet as much. And what it tells me is the target market for this product, the demand for this product was exactly 100% on point. This is made for the islanders in mind. And I feel like if you build products that understand a pain point and addresses that, like this isn't public knowledge. Nobody knows what anybody else is doing. But my data in the background shows me I knew it. I knew that this was who we were rebuilding this for. And that's who's shown the biggest response to date. So in our small group, and maybe 20 or 30 of that group is Turks and Caicos Islanders. 100% of the investors from launch of 2 weeks ago, and the 12% who own the property now, as we get in, is 100% Turks. That to me is shocking, and that to me speaks volumes. And that speaks to me when this word gets out of what we've built and more people understand this. I think that number is going to be a significant chunk of this, at least this initial offering. And I predicted that was going to happen. That's just, so to those who are on the fence, go check it out. Reach out to me. You don't even have to invest. I'm not asking you, but go take a look at it. Because if this one isn't for you, maybe the next one is. Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, there's no pressure here. This isn't a, you better do this. No. We did this for you. It's there. You want it. It's there. You don't want it. Don't. But I'm telling you right now, once the wider community finds out and things start to grow, I think people will appreciate what we built and how much work that went in the years and years of work that went into putting this, and the kind of unique time and stone we put together to get this approved. I think people will appreciate that, and they might put that discomfort to ease. And time will tell.
Well, I think, Ari, I believe you are addressing a long time social problem that we have had here, and that is feeling as though we cannot own a piece of Grace Bay. I mean, let's just be honest here. And I think that project is now paving a way for some level of ownership. And maybe it sets the stage for, bigger and better things in the future. But I am excited. I can't see where this goes and grows. Absolutely, man. It's about time. It's about time we own some piece of the pie. You know what I mean? So I wish you and the developers and the board all the success, and continue on the great work that you're doing, because I know for a fact that you had to, I'm gonna push a P now, persevere to to get this project off the ground. So thank you for your passion and your perseverance in doing this. And you are always welcome back on the platform to talk about any sort of highlights, because I want to be a part of getting the message out there of how Turks and Caicos Islanders can build wealth. I also want to commend Marianne and Bernicia for the conference that they're putting on. This is what we want as Turks and Caicos Islanders. We want to see a newspaper headline and say, okay, I got a piece of that. I got something. So I'm saying that even if it's just 1%, I got something to do with that at some level. So Ari, thank you so much. Any final words before we close?
Look, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it, and giving me a voice and a platform, an audience. We appreciate coming on podcasts such as this with great viewership. It's important for us, and we thank you for your time. Do attend the Legacy Summit. I'm speaking on it on Saturday. What those two girls are putting together, and the list and the work they put into that summit, would be shame. And I just want to see as many people as possible, because it's real. They need support. We need support. And as long as we keep supporting each other and everybody comes out, the change we are looking for is there, right? It's coming up. We can't rely on anybody. We have to rely on ourselves to make that change happen. Okay. So thank you as well for your time. And I will come back with an update, hopefully with a successful closing of the first offer.
Awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Ari Comert, it has been a pleasure. And of course, we'll see you next week on Push Your Peace Podcast.